No, so I changed my name, and the way I changed my name was fully legal, right? So I actually took my wife's family name. So the Bustamante name is my wife's birth name. So when I changed my name, what I did is I took my wife's name. And I took my wife's name for a few different reasons. One, because it buried me deeper. Because it's not something that people do in the West, especially not in the United States. Men don't take women's last names.
Yeah.
So there was an element there where Andrew Gregg went into CIA, but Andrew Gregg never came out of CIA, right? Nobody knows where Andrew Gregg really went administratively, unless they follow birth records, and then they find.
Well, they do now.
Yeah. Well, it's still out there. You can find me from my academy days. But the thing is that when I took my wife's last name, it's one of the few ways that a man can legally change his name. So I was able to legally change my name and then execute a whole different series of operations under a completely new name. Was
that suggested to you to do that, or was that your idea?
It was something so I wanted to change my name for a multitude of personal reasons, right? And I can go into that. But I wanted to change my name for personal reasons, and I wondered if there was an operational utility in changing my name, because anything you do with your history, with your administrative background, whether it's your licensure or your certifications or your degrees or any of that, whenever you do any of that inside CIA, you have to get permission, you have to get approval, because they've backstopped everything.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't have an operational benefit, then a lot of times they will say no. So I had to kind of fleet it up to see whether or not it would have an operational benefit. And the operational benefit was essentially all of your alias identities are also at some level tied to your true identity through.
Specific, yeah.
Yep. So now essentially any alias I have in a new name is tied to the new name, not tied to the old name.
Interesting. So it worked out well.
So it worked out.
Yeah, because that was I caught you making that point on another podcast at some point, and I was like, I wonder if that's like a thing, like if they go in there and like they have you do that right away. I mean, this is where people go like, oh, once you're in the CIA, like you're gone from society. To me, that wouldn't make sense, but it does make sense that once you're already actually operational, if you want to like reset the deck. That obviously is something that's pretty clear. But
it's like changing clothes inside of a changing room.
Yes.
People might see you go in with the clothes, but they see you come out wearing the clothes that you took in, and they don't actually see what you did behind the door. So everything you do inside CIA, people don't see what you did inside CIA.
So when you do this, though, I can't remember if you said this at the beginning, so I just want to make sure I have this defined. You were doing that to set up that new name in response to the things that had already happened where you were in danger mode from certain countries?
No. It was a benefit because my previous name had a footprint all its own. And my new name had a chance to develop a new footprint all its own. And while I'm telling you both names today, nobody knew both names at the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So to the world, the next day after I changed my name, Andrew Bustamante was brand new, right? You could Google search it if Google wasn't very powerful in 2010, but you could Google search it. You could take it to microfiche. You could run background checks. You could do whatever you want to, and there would be a dead end, right? Similarly, somebody back then could search Andrew Gregg and do all the same research. And they would find it going up to a certain point and then dropping off. And then that's when I was in the changing room. Nobody sees what happens in the changing room. Champagne room, right?
Yeah.
So
that's a better example. Yeah. That's a good one.